Folks, welcome back to the program. We've got Republican Bob Bailey on the line. He's a candidate for the special election, Senate District 16. Bob, welcome back to the program, sir.
Thank you, Paul. Good to be here.
Yes, sir. So tell me, how's the campaign going? And I understand, early voting is going to start here, on Tuesday? Is that correct?
Yep, it's just right around the corner.
Wow.
Man, I'll tell you what, everything has been moving at light speed. We've been doing a lot of traveling. I've been hearing a lot of good words. I think, of course, I don't really have a way to gauge it because I've never done this before, but everybody tells me that things are looking good.
Well, that's certainly got to be good. I mean, I wouldn't know if would they ever say that things are not looking good.
I believe that. I think my campaign manager Misty would tell me in a heartbeat.
Okay. Yeah.
If things weren't going good, so that's the kind of person he is.
So this is a big deal. I mean, it's clear, Bob, just based on your position, opposing Obamacare, Arkansas Works as is. You are not the status quo candidate. You are not the establishment candidate, but you are running against establishment forces. And this is a big election in terms of, and I guess I'd just like to give you the opportunity to speak to the people of your district, because they do have a choice before them, and many of them, they may not know the stakes. If they're listening to this program, they probably do know the environment down there. And so I think it really comes down to this for the folks of District 16 is what kind of government do you want? Are you okay with the status quo and where we are now? And I would say that if you're okay where we are now, then maybe that's not good. That's not, you're not going to stand for the status quo, so you wouldn't be their choice. But if you want to see somebody advocate for real change and expose what's going on down there, is that you? Are you that guy?
Pretty well, this whole thing's going to boil down to one thing or another. You're either going to be for the way things had been, or you're going to be for change. I've caught some flack. As you know, ASA donated funds to my two opponents, and I'm okay with that. I mean, hey, it could have been worse. He could have donated to me, he didn't.
Yeah, that's right. That would have been not good. That would have torpedoed you.
Yeah, he didn't. So pretty much that clearly outlined who was for what. You know what I'm saying? I mean, all that did was make that line a lot more easily seen by most people. I've had several people, there's been several news articles about how he donated to them and he didn't donate to me. And I'm going to tell you, I have not heard one single negative comment about that. The people that are swinging my way are saying, man, you know what? I didn't even really know who to vote for, but when I saw that he wasn't for you, I'm voting for you. I mean, I can't even tell you how many times I've heard that in the last few days. So,
wow.
It might have been a blessing in disguise. It made things more clear to some people than they thought. I've had several people say, man, I was going to vote for one of your opponents, but you know what? That blew me right off of the fence. I am voting for you. So in retrospect, hey, that's probably a good thing.
Wow. I just want to recap, folks. That is probably, that's the biggest burn or comeback. And I know you didn't even mean it that way, Bob, because you're just an honest guy. But ASA donates to your opponent, and your response is, well, it could have been worse. He could have donated to me. That's perfect. And that's I think that's such a refreshing attitude.
Everywhere I have gone, we've been all over this district. And as you know, it's a huge district, man. I've been to little towns I didn't even hear of before. I've been to towns that are so deep in the Ozarks, the sun only shines a few hours a day,
Yeah, yeah.
And I'm hearing the same thing everywhere I'm going. People are tired of it. Obamacare / Arkansas Works is a big issue. People that are paying attention know that it's going to be an endless money pit. My two opponents kind of embrace that program and think that it can be easily tweaked. But, you know, it's going to bite everybody. Every single person that pays taxes in this state is going to feel the effects as time goes on. Mm-hmm. I mean, they're going to have to raise taxes if this thing is to stay. I know there's a lot of big pushers involved behind it, a lot of big political figures, a lot of big money, and they're going to fight tooth and nail to keep this thing. But it really needs to go.
Yeah.
And you know, most people that study up on politics know that it's a terrible program and that it needs to go. You know, so I'm going to do what I can. It's not going to be a one-man job. You know, I'm going to need some help, but the people have got to know that there's somebody out there that sees it for what it is and are willing to get rid of it.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And, you know, it is, you said it's going to be a money pit. It already is a money pit. It's $1.4 billion over their net initial projections. That's 79% over their initial estimates. And so, yeah, it already is. And this idea, your two opponents, like you characterize them saying, you know, they think that it can be tweaked or whatever. They have been saying this. They have been attempting to tweak it for a long time now. They have been saying that, hey, we can let us grow government and we'll shrink it later. But we're never going to shrink it back to where it was before. This was the largest in 2013 when the minority of Republicans did this with all the Democrats. When I say a minority, they had the majority, a very slim majority. And so it only took a few Republicans and then all the Democrats and Mike Beebe to do this. And now, of course, Ace is the governor. John Brummett was right. If Mike Ross had been the governor, he probably wouldn't have gotten this stuff reauthorized. But because Ace is a Republican, he has gotten it. He has gotten it reauthorized. This thing, they've always said that it was going to be something that they can tweak, something that. But this was the largest expansion of government in Arkansas history. The largest expansion of government in Arkansas history. And it's time that we actually do right by the people who are sending Republicans down there and quit listening to the special interests, quit listening to the establishment, the Marble Palace elite, and just get this over with. People complain about a divide in the Republican Party. Okay, well, let's end the divide by ending this ridiculous program.
That would be an excellent way to start. You know, I've talked to several people down there in Little Rock, and I've heard the term, you know, we're going to pass this and then tweak it. You know, you're supposed to tweak the stuff before you pass it, for one thing, not after you pass it. It kind of reminds me of a guitar, you know how to tune a guitar string, you tweak it. And then it stretches, and then you tweak it again, and then it stretches some more, and you lose the tone, so you tweak it again. And at some point in time, it's going to snap, and it's going to break.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what's going to happen here. We're tweaking and tweaking and tweaking. We're to the point where that string is just about to snap, I think.
Mm-hmm. Well, you know, I think this is if anything, it's refreshing. I mean, our process is a good process, just in terms of in our representative republic, we have these things called elections, and this is a way for the people's voice to be heard, and they're either going to see, they're either going to vote for who they want in you or the other candidates, and then you kind of just got to let the chips fall where they may. I mean, I do know that campaigns and getting your message out, that's what it's all about. And I'm excited, Bob, that you decided to run in the first place and offer the people a viable alternative. Offer them, because what we have here are two candidates that support the status quo on this giant issue. And the reason it's a giant issue is because our entire fiscal future is tied to paying for this program that we can't afford. So it really ties our hands everywhere else. And you're basically offering, you're the only candidate that is offering an alternative. And yeah, it's an alternative that is not just going to do whatever the establishment says to do. And that's what we have a lot of people down there, Bob, that don't really represent the interests of their district and what the people want, and instead they represent the interests of Little Rock and what Little Rock says needs to happen. And that is not healthy, and that's why we have the really just it's like a post-Clinton government that still exists down there in bureaucratic form, at least.
Yeah, that's the fact that you might have had 2 or 3 or 4 choices, but you really didn't have a choice, did you? Is pretty much the reason that I've stepped up. Sometimes you just got to step up if you want things to go right. Sometimes you just got to spit on your hands and get with it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's exactly right. All right, so what do y'all have any events coming up? I mean, what's going on? I mean, early voting, starts Tuesday. So what's the plan? Are y'all going to be out, canvassing, getting people out to vote, or what do you guys have planned?
Tomorrow at 2:00, where I go to church, we're having a meet and greet. We did invite Brianne. We did invite Luke. Now, I don't know if you know this, but Luke sits right across the aisle from me at church. So I was talking to the pastor about it, and I said, hey, let's just invite Luke. I mean, he's part of the church. So I don't know if Brianne will be there or not, but she's certainly welcome. And I mostly asked because ours, we run 700 or 800 on Sunday, and there's a lot of people I don't know, and people see me and, oh, yeah, I heard you're the one running for Senate. So we thought, let's have a meet and greet at the church and just have a real informal get-together and meet each other.
Yeah.
So we're doing that tomorrow at 2:00 at the First Assembly of God Church. And, yes, my campaign manager, Misty, has told me that I will be very tired of her between now and the election because she has all kinds of plans for me. Probably going to have to buy another pair of tennis shoes before this is over with. We're going to be knocking on doors and
what wins elections. Yeah, I can't tell you how many successful grassroots people have been elected. They say that exact same thing. That they literally do have to buy a new pair of shoes after it's all over.
I've been up to these little towns where people basically said, you know what, we've never had anybody up here before. We're going to vote for you just because you're here.
Mm-hmm.
So, we're going to hit some of the smaller towns. We're not going to spend a whole lot of time there because you don't have to, because, some of these places are only 40 or 50 population, but hey, they're Arkansans. They need to know that we know they're there.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
And we're going to be running and gunning. We've been putting in a lot of time. There's days we hit the ground running at 6:30 or 7 and not even got back till midnight or 1 or 2, I'm already getting tired of junk food. Seems like we eat 3 meals a day out on the road,
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. That's got to be rough. Well, and so good luck at the meet and greet, and I appreciate your disposition, and how, Mr. Heffley, who did come on the program, and I disagree with his policy positions, but I really appreciate his congenial attitude, and it is neat. It's good that you guys are able to have a relationship that's, you're not going to let politics or a political campaign divide you. You guys are church members. Before you are opponents in a political race. I think that's a really good attitude to have. I'm glad that you're taking that attitude, by the way.
Oh, man, we go back a long way. My wife had Luke's girls in class, and his wife was my wife's student teacher at one time, and they're just good people. Yeah. And I understand, that you might have a difference of opinion. That doesn't mean we can't, shake each other's hand and slap each other on the back and have a good time together, So.
All right. Well, that's all the time we have, Mr. Bob Bailey. I appreciate you coming on. Best of luck to you as early voting kicks off. And I just want to say, your opponents, they know that they are welcome on the program to come back on. And specifically Brianne Davis. She has not come on the program yet. She was scheduled, but she was supposed to get back in touch with us to reschedule. She hasn't done that. Anyway, Mr. Bob Bailey, I appreciate it, sir. Thank you so much.
Thanks for having me, man.
All righty. Folks.